Us lazy artists always say that we want to get better at drawing in our free time, and we want it fast. But when we actually have free time, we spend it scrolling or watching videos or playing video games, or sometimes even doing nothing. This is why our improvement is so slow, and sometimes even non-existent. Our wizard was like this too when he first had to learn magic, and he is now hundreds of years old, and he knows that to get better with his spells fast, he has to apply a couple of simple rules. He knows what to focus on. He doesn't spend time trying random magic spells or stupid magic tricks, but he actually focuses on the important ones. He spends days reading the magic books, but he spends even more time casting the actual spells and practicing it constantly. But most importantly, he knows exactly why he wants to get better, and his goal motivates him to go faster and faster. We'll be like the wizard today. I'm not just gonna give you knowledge here, I'm actually gonna give you the exact steps that you have to follow so that you can start learning arts faster from today. By the way, I'm Matt. I drew a whole 80 pages full illustrated fantasy arts book in only 3 months, and how do you think I did it this quick? Now, the first rule is the 80-20 rule, but for artists. Now, to understand it better, let's get back to the wizard example. Now, how could the wizard learn the hardest tricks and the hardest spells if he kept on studying other useless stuff? He spent 10 hours a day learning the craft of magic, but just 1 hour of it was actually focused study on what mattered. Now, what's the 80-20 rule? This rule says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your work. This means that only a fraction of your work is actually focused work on what matters, and the other 80% of work, even if you don't realize it, is just some shallow work that you do on some tasks that sometimes don't even matter. Now, it's not just a mindset stuff. I'm gonna tell you how to exercise properly. Now, let's get even more practical. How does this apply to art? Now, let's say that you have that day where you have the burst of motivation and the burst of creativity, right? I know that you have it. That day when you haven't drawn for a month and you start drawing and you say, I'm gonna get better, I'm gonna start to get better at drawing. Now you sit down, get your art tools, you start drawing, you open Pinterest, you draw what you like, you draw some portraits, and that's all fine because you're still practicing. But after 2, 3, 4 hours of some shallow studies and some random portraits that are in your comfort zone, you end up feeling like you haven't learned nothing. Why? It's because you did some kind of study. As I said, you did maybe some anatomy studies, like some 20 minutes gesture figures or some stuff like that. But the whole other time was you just drawing some random stuff that was in your comfort zone. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing bad with that. But if you want to get better fast, we have to change something a little bit. What you have to do is to sit down with the intention of studying, not with the intention of just drawing, and not with the intention of just doing some random doodling and maybe you'll get better, but you have to sit down and know that you're gonna get better in this session. Now let's get to the practicing. What I will do specifically during the study session is to choose before starting the field that you're gonna get better at. And be really specific. So if I sit down and say, I'm gonna study anatomy, I know for a fact that I'm just gonna draw a couple of muscles that I already know how to draw, and then I'm gonna quit. If I say I'm gonna study anatomy, and I'm gonna understand how the arm works, and how the muscles in my arm interconnect with each other, now I have a clear goal. And now at the end of the session I can say, did I learn it? Or did I just waste time? Bear with me, I'm gonna tell you how exactly to do these studies. You sit down, you choose what to study, and you do this 3-step method in a time budget. The first step is to do some gestures of what you chose. So if you chose arms, you gather a couple of arms picture or some like figures, and you draw the arms in a span of time that is something like 30 seconds to 1 minute. Or maybe 2 minutes if you really want to go more into detail. But in this step, we're going to go really fast. So just to get the hang of it, just to set your mind in the mood of drawing, we do some gesture drawing of what we're doing. So fast sketches. Once you're done with that, and I would suggest it would take you something like, it depends on how much time you have, but I would say something like 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, right? Now, once you're done with that, you go to the second phase. That is the phase where you really understand what you're studying, when you really get better. In this phase, you have to study the muscles in detail. You have to understand the shapes that compose the arm, and you have to understand the muscle that make the arm up. Get some anatomy pictures, get some real in-depth reference, and copy what you see, label the muscles, understand how they connect with each other, understand how they work in tension, understand how they work when they pull, when they push. And once we're done with this phase, that should be a bit longer, something like half an hour to 1 hour, it depends how much time you have, you go with the last step, and this step is where you practice and you have fun. So once you're done with the studying, you try and draw something that you like, implementing what you've learned. So if you drew arms for the whole session, you can draw, I don't know, a buff figure, a orc, for example, if you like fantasy, a big sci-fi robots with human arms, or with like humanized robot arms or some stuff like that. So you put in practice what you've learned in a kind of final piece that you can take forward how much you want. You also see if you learned stuff. It's like a kind of a test, right? Now, I'm telling you to focus on the important stuff. But what's the important stuff? The wizard didn't learn the important stuff right away, spending time on some random stuff, just because he didn't know what the actual important spells were. Once he started understanding it, he went so much faster. Now, for the second step, you have to have a clear roadmap in front of you. If you sit down and you have to decide what to study, and you say arms, but you don't even remember when you study arms before, and you have to study hands, but you've never been able to draw hands, so you always procrastinate doing it, and you end up drawing arms every day or anatomy every day, and you leave perspective behind, you're gonna get all confused, and your progress are gonna be all messed up, just like your art is. No offense. So what I wanna tell you with this is that you have to know exactly what to study and when to study it, not only today, but over the long run. I would suggest to have periods. You can have the anatomy period, you can have the perspective period. You're gonna pick, for example, a month where you know you're gonna study anatomy, a month where you know you're gonna study perspective, and so on. This way, you don't get bored because you always switch it up, and you don't mess everything, mixing everything together. You don't study one day anatomy, one day perspective. Of course, if you wanna take a break during the month and draw a landscape, go ahead. But if you focus on something, you will get better at the thing instead of putting your attention on many things and you're gonna be average on all of them. Now, I know you will not do what I just told you to do because it's hard to create a roadmap. You don't even know where to start. You don't know what's your level. But don't worry, because I have a tool that is gonna help you so much get better in a short amount of time and have gigantic results, knowing exactly what to study every time. I created this free ebook, the 6-week Unstuck Protocol, that is gonna help you not only know exactly what to study every day to get better at anatomy and perspective in only 6 weeks, but it's also gonna gamify the process, including fantasy, sci-fi. You're gonna have a lot of styles that you're gonna mix with your studies, having fun every single time. Now, you can find the link in the description, it's completely free, go grab it right now. Also, little thing I want to add on the clear roadmap: if you keep on following the roadmap, you won't get lost because you have a map in front of you. You know where to go, and you won't stop randomly because you don't know what to study and not remember what you did before because you're tracking the progress, right? Now, by any means, go grab my ebook. The wizard also got his giant spells book when his master handed it to him. It was a giant book full of theory and exercises, but what the wizard did was wrong at the beginning. He only read the book, he got motivated, but he kept on reading without practicing. But once he realized that to get better, he had to put in practice what he was learning, this is when it all clicked in his brain and he started getting better so much faster. You have to take action, bro. If you don't do what I'm telling you, if you don't do what you see in other tutorials, if you don't do the 6-week protocol to get unstuck on the ebook, and you just read it and say, that's cool, I'm just gonna do it. No, bro, you have to take action right now. From today, you have to start studying, having a clear roadmap, knowing exactly what you're gonna study, doing the 80-20 rule, or being aware of it. Otherwise, bro, this is just gonna be another video of me telling you some random stuff about how to draw with more confidence and without procrastination, and you're just gonna ignore it like everything else that you're watching. If you really wanna make progress, you have to take action. Now, I know this is hard. This is why I'm not just gonna tell you, take action, bro. I'm actually gonna tell you how to do it. Now, the book is gonna make it easy for you because I already structured everything so you can take action easily. But for other videos, for example, if you see an how to draw poses video and they tell you, draw 20 poses, then study the anatomy, then do this, do that, and they tell you all the instructions to draw poses better, you're gonna learn the information, but you're not gonna start until you get the motivation. If you instead trick your brain and destructure everything that you're learning into small pieces, and you divide them through your day, through your months, and do a little bit every day, this is how you take action. Because if you take action when you're motivated and you draw for 20 hours, and then for 20 days you don't touch your pencil, this is not progress, bro. It's better if you create a plan that you can stick to, that is not that ambitious, instead of creating a super ambitious study plan and just sticking to it for 2 days. Pick the information that you see in my book, in a video, whatever, and divide it so that you can draw a little bit every day. Have a minimum amount, a bare minimum that you do every day, and this is the way to actually commit to drawing and get better faster than someone who draws so much and then stops for a month. Now I'm done with the video, but before going, I wanted to add a little small tip that may change completely the way you study art and make your progress so much faster. Now, why does the wizard learn magic? He has a clear goal. He wants to get so strong that he can defeat the dragon that has attacked the village for so many years now. He wants to defeat the procrastination dragon. What I'm telling you to do is to find your mission, find your why. Why do you want to get better at drawing? The reason why I draw, my actual mission, was to get so much better and to be able to do my 80 pages art book. And I did. And now I want to get better to experiment with new techniques that make me avoid procrastination and get so much more productive and motivated to draw. And I'm learning so much more. So much that I had to include everything in a program. My program is from Stack to Creative Machine. Now, if you're an artist that is a procrastinator, he can't get himself to draw, he has the burst of motivation that lasts a couple of days, and then he always procrastinates the drawing session, I got this program for you because it has exercises, both practical and mental, that are gonna literally force you to draw. And you're finally gonna be able to work on your project like I did with mine. Now, the link is in the description. It has more than 50% off right now because it's still on pre-sale, but I'm recording it so it's not gonna be for long, and once it comes out the price is gonna double, so you wanna check it out right now. If not, that's fine, you can just watch this video on how to beat your procrastination loop. Also remember to follow me if you're serious about your art, and see you in the next one.